Hi, I am Gunjan. You are watching Brainstorming Sessions. Today we are going to discuss about idea of one nation and one language. One nation one language means by having common language for all the people, we can unite the country. Supporter of this idea claim that Hindi is most spoken language of the country and promotion of Hindi can lead to unification of the India. There is recurrent debate on this idea of one nation, one language in independent India. Let's dive into deeper into this debate. To understand one nation, one language, we need to learn about modern concept of nation or nationalism. Also, we must understand how language is more than means of communication or interaction and how it is most important part of the culture. Also, how language help to shape identity of the individual and social group. Social groups may include tribe, community and even nation. First, we will try to understand what nation is. According to dictionary, nation is large body of people united by common descent, common history, common culture, common language, inhabiting a particular territory. According to Wikipedia, nation is stable community of people formed on the basis of common language, common territory, common history, common ethnicity or psychological makeup manifested in common culture. Or take any other definition from political science. Definition of nation presupposes homogeneous nature of social group by common culture, by common history, by common territory and most importantly common language. Nationalism, the movement, try to keep nation as pure as and as homogeneous as possible and relies on idealized model of society, mono-ideological, mono-religious and monolingual. This begs the question, is it possible that nation can retain any sense of nationalism while host to more than one language? If there are more languages in society, then there can be different experiment for one nation, one language, like creating domination of one language over other languages, like what communist Russia did, made Russian as an official language and secondary importance was given to other native languages. Or 1830 when French language was made official language of the Belgium and they also tried to accommodate or assimilate other languages in their fold. That is called as assimilation of the other languages. From this example, we can say that nation is based on common language or common culture. If there is no common language or culture, try to create one by assimilation or domination. Now let's try to understand role of language in our life, social life. According to dictionary, language is system of communication consisting of sounds, words and grammar or system of communication used by people in particular country or type of work. But in social life, language is more than means of communication or system of communication. In social life, language is important part of any culture or we can say most important part of the culture. Let me explain this. Culture consists of various components like arts, language, festival, attire, music, food, dance form, literature, philosophies, paintings. Each one plays important role in cultural life. But in every culture, language plays bigger role than other components. First of all, some components like music, dance, literature, philosophies are dependent on language. Secondly, language unite people, even if they are unknown to each other. Example, language have slight variations known as dialects. People maybe have different liking or taste in music, food, literature, dance or philosophy. But they always have one thing in common, that is language, and which actually unite the people. Take example of Hindi. Hindi have geographical area spanning from UP, Bihar, Delhi, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. And there is slight variation in their cultural factors. Even they have different dialects at different areas like Bhojpuri, Magdi, Haryanvi, Chhattisgarhi. But despite of this, they unite under one identity, that is Hindi identity. Hope that it is clear to you. Same is the case of Marathi. Marathi have dialect like Kokni, Waradi, Ahirani, but they all unite under one common identity, that is Marathi Manus identity. So we can say that language is most important component of any culture. It shapes identity of individual and social group. So now we are aware of the role of language and idea of nation, also their connection. So now we are moving toward next segment. Here we will analyze promotion of Hindi language as a factor of unification of India. Supporter of this idea believe that it will lead to unification of country and it is also important for administrative convenience. But there are different challenges to this idea of Hindi as a lingua franca of India. First challenge is in 2011 census there are 1369 mother tongues in country. Hindi is only one among them. Also, when the languages were enumerated, Hindi also includes Bhojpuri, which is spoken by little over 5 crore people. The census has put Bhojpuri as a subset of Hindi. So it may be true that Hindi is spoken by large number of people in India, but it is equally true that it is not spoken by a majority of the Indians. It is ironic that our animosity toward English makes us to ignore the fact that idea of one nation, one language is itself European idea, whereas India always believed in unity in diversity. The concept of national language was 19th century romanticism. This movement was focused in part individualism, glorification of the past. It is important to note that language has not always been linked to national identity. The transformation in 16th century from using Latin as a language of government and authority to using vernacular language. Vernacular language means language spoken by ordinary people of any given region. And this transformation was vital in constructing this link between nation and language. This ethno-linguistic pride was found in Germany by thinkers like von Herder and Alexander von Humboldt. They championed the German language as unifying force of strong Germany. But later, this ethno-linguistic pride was spread to other part of the Europe. But we can conclude that this idea is not in tune with our history, our culture and civilization, as India is always multilingual society. So we can conclude that one nation, one language is not suitable for country like India, which is multilingual. Second issue with Hindi is that it's not always the case for Hindi as a national language or lingua franca. It is well known that many leaders in national movement visualize a special role for Hindi. There are many leaders like Lokmanya Tilak, Subhash Chandra Bose, Vallabhbhai Patel supported Hindi. Most of them supported Hindustani, mixed language, not the pure Hindi being pushed today. But all of them were clear that it could not be imposed. Whereas Gandhiji and Nehru both supported Hindustani language, a mixed language spoken in North India, written in Devanagari or Urdu script. The concept of Hindustani language as a unifying language or fusion language was endorsed by Mahatma Gandhi. Though many supporters of the Hindi disagreed with them, but they agreed to Gandhi-Nehru viewpoint. But later condition changed. Once the partition was announced, these champions of the Hindi were encouraged by events like partition. When the protagonist of Pakistan had claimed Urdu as a language of Muslims and of Pakistan, the supporter of Hindi now branded Urdu as a symbol of secession, a symbol of partition, and they demanded Hindi in Devanagari script to be made national language. So we can conclude that historically Hindi was not lingua franca and was not only choice for national language. Moreover, the chances of Hindi's success as an official language were spoiled by proponents of the Hindi themselves. Instead of taking a gradual, slow and moderate approach to gain acceptance of the Hindi by non-Hindi areas, and instead of persuasion, they preferred fanatic approach. They preferred imposition of Hindi through government action. Their zeal and enthusiastic approach tended to provoke a counter movement against Hindi language. As Nehru told the parliament in 1959, it was their over enthusiastic approach which came in the way of spread and acceptance of Hindi. Additionally, Hindi suffered from lack of social science and scientific writing. In the 50s, for example, there were hardly any academic journal in Hindi outside the literary field. Instead of developing Hindi as a means of communication in higher education, journalism, Hindi leaders were more interested in making it as official language. A major weakness of Hindi protagonists was that instead of developing simple standard language which would get wider acceptance or at least popularize the Hindi as a spoken language in many parts of the India, they tried to Sanskritize the language. That is, they replaced commonly understood word with newly manufactured, difficult word in name of purity of the language. This Sanskritization of the language made it more and more difficult for non-Hindi speaker or even Hindi speaker to understand or to learn the new Sanskritized version of the Hindi language. Additionally, All India Radio, which could have played an important role in popularizing Hindi, instead focused on Sanskritizing its Hindi news bulletin that many listeners would not understand and avoid such pure and Sanskritized language. But the purifiers and supporters of Hindi did not stop here. This difficult and Sanskritized version of Hindi is resisted by many, even joining counter movement against Hindi language. Apart from these challenges, there are various experiences and observation which should be kept in mind while discussing one nation one language formula. We have such one example we have observed in neighboring Bangladesh, then East Pakistan. The language movement against the imposition of Urdu on Bengali speakers was a key driver of Pakistan splitting into two nations. I think this should be kept in mind while discussing one nation one language formula. We have one more example, and that's our experience, that is in Assam. After independence, we had only one state in northeast, that is Assam. All other 5 states were part of Assam at that time. But Assam tried to implement Assamization and also made Assami as an administrative language for all the tribes. But this decision was opposed by all the different tribes, including non-Assamese tribe from Assam. And this policy of Assamization also considered as one of the reason for insurgency in northeast. So it is clear that imposition of language is resisted by non-speaker. Even the imposition of Hindi was opposed by many non-Hindi states, especially in southern state, including Tamil Nadu. Violent protests broke out in southern India, leading to introduction of Official Language Act in 1963, which assured continuation of English along with Hindi as an official language of Union of India. Anti-Hindi protest of 1965 marked an important turn in India's official language policy. The Official Language Act, which was amended in 1967, guaranteeing the virtual indefinite policy of bilingualism for all official purpose of the Union. So from above experience and observation, it is clear that one nation, one language is very difficult to implement in multicultural, multilingual nation like India, and its imposition is next to impossible. There is another challenge to this idea from outside. If there is mechanical and monolithic idea of unity followed by any entity, such an entity generally generates great hostility, beyond its immediate borders. This may affect the relationship with India's neighboring countries. Any idea of one linked language, whether Hindi or English, will be economically disastrous for India. It will slow down migration and reduce ease of capital flow. There is another challenge to this idea, that is constitutional challenge. Constitution of India actually embrace idea of cultural and linguistic diversity. Given the linguistic diversity of India, there is no national language and even all the states are free to decide their own official language or official languages. In fact, the constitution, which has made space for 22 languages in 8th schedule, uphold linguistic diversity principle. Hindi language is one of the 22 languages of the 8th schedule of Constitution of India. Interestingly, according to Ministry of Home Affairs, there are 38 demands from 38 different languages to be included in 8th schedule. Also, fundamental rights such as Article 14, Article 15, Article 16 prohibits discrimination on the basis of language. Article 29 allow promotion of language to every community, including majority and minority. Also, in our constitution we have part 17, which is actually dedicated for languages, including official language of the union, official language of the state and official language of the Supreme Court. According to Article 343, we have Hindi written in Devanagari script along with English as official language of Part 17 also have some special provision for linguistic minorities. Article 350B, that is protection of provision of linguistic minorities, is important from prelims point of view. From all the constitutional provision, it is clear that Constitution of India strive to safeguard linguistic diversity. So this is constitutional challenge to one nation, one language. So in this video we have discussed about idea of one nation, one language and various challenges to idea of one nation and one language. Next and last part is way forward. Supporter of this idea believe that one nation, one language can lead to unification of the nation. But there are better ways to foster national unity than imposing a language, like creating a common market for the country through single simplified tax structure, fostering a single labor market, and should avoid any kind of imposition. There is also another solution. Center and supporter of this idea should also work on Article 351, that is Directive for Development of Hindi Language, to develop it so that it may serve as a medium of expression for all the element of composite culture of India. And this Article 351, that is special provision for Hindi language, is very important from prelim point of view. And finally, a united nation has to have space for diversity. India is not only have diversity but unity in diversity. Diversity is great philosophical idea and should never be seen as cultural burden. So that was our topic. As per as UPSC is concerned, this topic is very important for UPSC essay paper, General Studies 1 Society, General Studies 2 Polity, and optional subject like sociology. And articles like 350B and 351 are important from prelim point of view. So that was our topic. Thanks for watching brainstorming session. Also subscribe the channel.